nerds? Pony here, and today we're gonna do a book review. What? It can't be about Nerf every day. Alright, whatever, I'm out of here. Now, what book are we going to review today? We're reviewing Warcraft Durotan. If you're anything like me, you have been waiting for the Warcraft movie for a long time. A little bit of my Warcraft history. Started out playing Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness, was in a pretty hardcore raiding guild from Molten Core all the way up to Wrath of the Lich King, and I still play that game quite a bit on and off up until Warlords of Draenor got boring and stale. So I've been waiting for this movie forever, and I'm pretty excited that it's coming out next month. But with Warlords of Draenor not really fulfilling my lore needs anymore, and me being impatient and unable to wait for the movie to come out, I searched around for something that would tide me over until the movie was released on June 10th. What did I find but this novel by Christie Golden? This is exactly what I needed to quench my thirst for some Warcraft lore. Now, the problem that this big budget movie is probably going to have, and a lot of big budget movies have, is that while they are action-packed and full of great CGI, they have a hard time with character development. And that is where I think this movie will probably be lacking. Now, if they've created a movie that gets sort of a 5 or a 6 on the normal scale because of lack of character development, that's going to be an issue for a lot of people. Now, how do you compensate for that? How do I, as someone that's going to go watch the film, make sure that I enjoy it? Well, you have to care about the characters. And if the movie is not going to force you to care about the characters, you've got to take steps to do it yourself. Now, back in the day, orcs were bloodthirsty monsters. Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, they drank the blood of the demons, and they are pretty much heartless. Those are the sort of orcs that I've come to know. And it was kind of hard for me to break out of that when I was watching the trailers for the Warcraft movie. Durotan is going to be a main character, and he is not bloodthirsty at all. He just wants to survive. He wants him and his clan and his family to survive. And so, in order to break that mold, I needed to care about this character, not as a bloodthirsty orc, but as a more human character. And that's exactly what this novel does. This novel is not an epic war. This novel is a precursor to the orcs going through the Dark Portal, and you dive deeply into the story of Durotan, Draka, Gul'dan's in there. You hate him just as much as you should in any other situation he's in, and as well as Orgrim Doomhammer. And the Frostwolves. Of course, the clan, the Frostwolves. You may know them, they live in Frostfire Ridge, which is not a fantastic place to live by any means. If you've been playing Warlords of Draenor, you will know that it is flooded with lava in a lot of places, and where there isn't lava, there's snow. It is just a harsh environment, and that is where the Frostwolves live. They just want to survive. I've read quite a few Warcraft novels, and a lot of times they did not really hold my interest, even though they were developed in the rich lore of Warcraft that I already had loved. This story I read in about 4 days. That's 4 real-time days, not /read. It doesn't take me that long to read a book, but it definitely held my interest. I am quite a slow reader, so I pick up on edit mistakes. My brain doesn't just scan things and fill in the words as need be. I do think this was probably edited very quickly, so you will find just spelling errors, syntax errors. At one point, I actually read Frost Wolf Ridge instead of Frost Fire Ridge, but still. The character development is there. You care about Durotan, you care about what happens to him, and you want him to succeed. And what more can you ask for a novel that's leading up to a movie where you're going to need to care about what happens to Durotan? There are definitely a couple points in this book where I winced at what was happening. It made me feel something, and that is really what I'm looking for, especially in fantasy novels. You don't really get that feeling that you can get from novels that take place in your own time, that reflect sort of your own experiences. It's very easy to have emotion when something is very recognizable, but when you're in a world that you naturally are completely unfamiliar with, it's hard to create those human moments, and I think there are definitely 2 or 3 places in this book where I definitely felt something real. You know what the best part is? No Ronin. Zero Ronin in this novel. Now, I looked up Christie Golden afterwards and actually found she wrote another novel called Arthas: Rise of the Lich King. And I'm probably actually going to read that too because I do enjoy her writing as compared to some of the other Warcraft authors. And The Rise of the Lich King is definitely some great lore. So I'm going to be picking that book up. If you want to have a nice primer for the Warcraft movie where you already care about some characters going into the story, because the story is kind of going back in time, all the lore that we're used to is either a different timeline or it's way far into the future compared to where this movie takes place. So this is a great way to get your mind into the past and attached to the characters that are a main part of the movie. Especially important because these characters are not humans. It's much easier to connect with humans than it is with fantasy characters like orcs. So I would definitely recommend getting this novel. Plus, it's pretty cheap, it's a nice, fast read, and I definitely enjoyed it. I will put a link to this novel on Amazon where I got it in the description box below. If you are interested at all in Warcraft, if you're interested at all in seeing the Warcraft movie and you like reading, this is a great novel. Pick it up, give it a read, and get yourself primed to watch some epic, awesome Warcraft movie coming out on June 10th. So excited! Alright guys, that's it for me today. Remember, as always, it's not about having fun, it's about growing emotionally attached to Durotan and getting yourself ready for the Warcraft movie.